Hello and welcome to Coffee with Carey. Thank you for being here today to see what I wanted to talk about. Those of you who have been here before and know me know that I am a matchmaker and a dating coach here in the Chicago area. Because I look around like in the Chicago area, this is just my home. But I have clients that I talk to every day who I send out on matches and I coach through the dating process. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about virtual dating. You know, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and so many people at first were very apprehensive about virtual dating, even giving it a try. And it's working really well for a lot of people. So I wanted to share with you today reasons why you would want to try virtual dating. If that's at all interesting to you, stick around, that's what we're talking about. You know, it's just really strange times right now, and there are so many things we've had to give up. And it's a time that we're isolating ourselves, and some of us are with families, some are alone, some have children at home, some have parents they're taking care of, some of us have a roommate or we live with a friend, but some of us are really interested in making connections, especially those of us who are alone are experiencing loneliness because you can't go out for lunch with a friend, you can't stop by a family member's house, you can't just go out and meet somebody new for a cup of coffee. And I think virtual dating is a great option in a time when we have so few options of way to be social and to connect with people. Speaking of connection, number 2, we want to connect with others. That's what we're built for. We are human. We need other people. Any happiness study that you see will show you that the people who are the happiest are people who have connections with other people. People who have great connections at work actually show up to be some of the happiest people in the world. They look forward to a group of people they can communicate with every day in the workplace. And certainly that's the same for personal relationships, interpersonal relationships. So to cut us off from the possibility of bringing someone new into our life just because maybe we're a little uncomfortable with the technology, it's not a good enough reason. It's a great way to connect with people in this day and age. It's an option and it's available to us. We would be foolish to not take advantage, especially if it's just because of the technology. I mean, do you find yourself reaching out more these days to friends and family? Are you picking up the phone more often than you usually do just to have some human interaction? I mean, we're made to be interactive, and I think that loneliness is not a healthy state of being for us. So anything we can do to alleviate that is a plus. Virtual dating is interesting because the stakes are a lot lower. I mean, the worst case scenario, in the very worst case scenario, you are one click away from saying, it was nice meeting you, thank you, this isn't working, I think I'm gonna let you go. And it's one click away. You don't have to gather up your belongings, get a check, grab an Uber. You can end a date rather quickly, but in the best case scenario, you don't need fancy clothes, you don't need to, This is actually one of the points I will be making in a video about the specifics of dating virtually. You need to figure out ahead of time what you intend to do with your pets. I was saying some of the positives to the virtual dating is you don't have to pick a specific place. You don't have to get dressed all fancy. You don't have to figure out how you're going to get there. You can avoid the costs of parking, the costs of grabbing an Uber to and from. And you can do this in the privacy of your own home and the comfort of your own home. You know, I mentioned recently that TV show Love is Blind. And if people could connect in 2 separate rooms with glass walls between them and have a conversation that brought them to the point where they were in love with one another and wanted to get married, imagine what we can do where we can see the person, we can watch how their face moves, we can hear their voice, we can see bits of their body language. I think chemistry is something I talk about an awful lot. And I believe that chemistry on a video conversation can definitely be a part of that virtual dating. I think chemistry is something we take into account when we decide who we want to watch on YouTube. There are multiple people talking about the same topic perhaps, and I'll find myself clicking and wanting to continue watching somebody that I feel I have chemistry with. And I'm sure you're the same way. We're attracted to different things and different looks and different voices. And I think that all comes through in a video conference call or a video chat or a virtual date. And I think that you're really not missing out on much except perhaps seeing how tall this person is or seeing what their shoes look like. So I think chemistry can definitely be a part of the virtual date. And I think those conversations that you have, think back to years ago, the late night conversations on the phone, talking for hours with someone and really making that bond and forging a connection with somebody. Yes, I may have met them in person, but all the getting to know you stuff was not in person. It was on a telephone call in the dark, in bed with my head on the pillow, chatting with somebody, truly getting to know all their inner thoughts and ideas about things. So now with the benefit of video years later here, I think it's an ideal way to get to know people. I think in some ways you can learn even more about this person than you would sitting across from them in a restaurant or a bar, because you're in their home. You see them in a relaxed state, how they live their life. And if you take advantage of the situation that you are both at home, there's no reason that you're stuck in a chair the whole day. You're more than welcome to get up and share your home. You can see how somebody else lives. It's a much more relaxed state, and you're in your own home. I think it's actually much more intimate than it would be a first date in a restaurant somewhere. I wanted to talk a little bit about the time frame. I think a typical date I plan for clients who meet for a cocktail and appetizers, which is my standard go-to, there is a sort of time frame to that. It's typically about an hour, between an hour and 2 hours. And I think that with a video virtual date, it sort of frees that up a little bit. There are no rules or a standard to that. So you can talk for a half an hour and say, well, it was good getting to know you, and nobody's thinking, is this too quick? If you start a date at 7 o'clock and you're still talking at midnight and playing each other records and showing off your dance moves or something, that's perfectly acceptable too. The fact that it's so new gives you some freedom to create whatever type of a date you want in this virtual setting, and that's very exciting to me. There is no rush either. You can take your time and let things unfold and see where the conversation takes you. And if you've got that little checklist in your mind, there is no time frame that you have to worry about. Virtual date again tomorrow. You can virtual date later tonight if you're having an afternoon date. So the fact that there's no rush and you can take your time, that's sort of freeing, I think. And finally, as to why you should give virtual dating a shot, so many of the conversations I have with people setting up blind dates for clients and even the feedback conversation afterwards, is about chemistry. And I think that initial chemistry, or that 30-second impression of someone, will only take you so far. I have so many incidents of people I know, myself included, that chemistry was not instantaneous, and I didn't know it on the first date. I have a friend who is with a partner, and they didn't even know that they had that type of chemistry till they'd been friends for over 10 years. So we all think that chemistry is something we're going to know by the end of a first date. And I think the virtual date takes away that pressure of having to know right away. I think for guys, a lot of times that first impression is, do I want to sleep with her? And I think that this allows them to actually get to know somebody so they can take the time and let it unfold and hear about someone and learn about their opinions. And are they fun to be around? And do they just have a personality you enjoy? I think maybe a few dates in, you might know whether or not that this chemistry thing is going to happen for you. But I think there are different kinds of chemistry, and I think this is a great place to check out your conversational chemistry. Once you're both comfortable and settled in, and the conversation is flowing, and you have so many things to pull from in your surroundings to talk about, and of course you can have a list of some topics. Just opening that up a little bit to get to know someone a little bit better before doing that chemistry judging that we tend to do on first dates would really make this a great opportunity for us to try something new. And I think I just want to wrap this up by saying, don't let the unfamiliar deter you from trying something new. You know, we are in our 50s, some of us here. I've seen my demographic here. This channel is for women in their 50s, but there are other people who stop by. And for all of us, it's not something we're used to. It seems like a hassle. Well, I'm making a video for that. I'm going to do it right after this one. I'll post them close together so that you can look at that video. What's it going to be called? How to prepare for a virtual date. What you need to do. So all the steps will be there for you. So that's not an excuse. But to be open-minded, everybody's looking for something who's open to new experiences and is open-minded. So be that person. Get on the fun bandwagon of virtual dating. Give it a shot. If you don't love it after the first one, maybe try it a second time. If you don't love it after the second one, then maybe it's not for you, and you can wait out the pandemic with people you already know and wait to date until we're allowed to get back out there in the real world. But that's coming. So what would be the harm if you already had a few people that you'd met virtually who you really connected with, and you were able to then set up a date to meet them in person for the first time after a month or so of getting to know them? It's a great opportunity. I urge you to take advantage. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. I hope you'll subscribe. I appreciate you being here. Thank you. And until the next time, have a good one.